Before I do start this video, make sure to use my TCG player affiliate down below if you're looking for any of these singles that I talk about today. Also, this channel is sponsored by Arcane Fortress. If you're looking for the best deck boxes around, make sure to use my link down below in the description to check them out. One other way you can support the channel is by becoming a patron. There are some great benefits of being a patron to the channel, such as giveaways, deck advice, and more when you do join. Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Devin coming back at you with another video today in Pub Stomp MTG. With Assassin's Creed coming to Magic the Gathering, we got a character from Assassin's Creed 3, and I'm not going to try to pronounce his real name. I'm just going to call him Connor from the video game. So let's first read what he does. So for white, blue, and black, so it's an Esper commander with a 3/3 body. As long as he hasn't dealt damage yet, it has hexproof and can't be blocked. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, create a 1/1 black Assassin's creature token with menace. When you do, return a target equipment card from your graveyard to the battlefield, then attach it to that token. So this is pretty powerful in the aspect where you could just go ahead, swing, not have to worry about it being blocked, because of course it can't be blocked as long as it hasn't dealt damage that turn. And it also does have hexproof, which is pretty good because of course a lot of people will try to target removal it right when it goes to combat. Also, it does go into a little bit of a go wide theme, making an assassin token on the battlefield. Then you could return an equipment to the battlefield attached to that token. So it's pretty powerful in a go wide strategy. I think there's going to be a lot of different options that you could take advantage of in this deck. So with that said, let's get right into it. So when going into this deck, we need to talk about the game plan. What are we trying to achieve and how are we going to achieve it? First, we need to get card draw in our deck. Best ways we could do so is by using Reconnaissance Mission, Bident of Thassa, and Curiosity Crafter. Because a lot of creatures, basically all the creatures in this deck, are pretty evasive. Most likely we're going to get a decent amount of card draw off of these options. Of course, our commander is making tokens, so Curiosity Crafter is going to trigger getting us more card draw that way too. There is a more thematic option in the deck too with Ezio Blade of Vengeance. Because our commander is an assassin and we're making assassin tokens, this is just going to be beautiful. Whenever assassin you control deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card, including itself too. Plus, if you'll notice with all these decks, I'm trying to add as much Assassin's Creed cards that make sense within the deck, but this actually does make sense with the deck, getting that card advantage. We also do want equipment cards in the graveyard. Ripples of Undeath is a great option for us. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, mill 3 cards. You may pay 1 and 3 life. If you do, you put a card from among those into your hand. So the reason why I like this in this deck is because at your pre-combat main phase, this is going to trigger. Then when you swing in with your commander, if you deal combat damage in any sort of way, you make that assassin token, and on top of that, you have that ability to return equipment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Ripples of Undeath is going to mill 3 different cards for us. Most likely, we're going to be milling an equipment card so that we could attach it to that assassin. Other ways we could put cards into our graveyard is by conniving. Ledger Shredder, Raffine, and Mask of the Schemer are all great options in the deck. Whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, Ledger Shredder will connive. It'll just get bigger and bigger over time depending on how much people are playing their extra spell. Raffine has that crazy ability of having one creature connive X, where X is the number of creatures attacking. So if we swing with 5 creatures on the battlefield, we have our commander connive 5. We discard 5 non-land cards, put 5 1/1 counters on our commander. The same can be said for Mask of the Schemer, only the fact that it's an equipment so that we could attach it to one of our creatures. And we can connive X, where X is the amount of damage that is dealt to that player. So these are just great overall. It's just selection to put specific kind of equipment into the graveyard so that we could later make an assassin to attach that equipment to. Another way we could put cards into our graveyard is by using Doom Whisperer. This is incredible, mainly because you can pay 2 life and surveil 2. Obviously, a life is a resource and commander. You can top deck, manipulate all you want, putting all your equipment cards into your graveyard, all at the expense of life. And of course, if you want a specific equipment into your graveyard, you might as well add in Entomb and Unmarked Grave. These are just tutor options that you could search for a specific equipment card and put into your graveyard. Entomb can put anything into the graveyard. Unmarked Grave focuses on non-legendary cards. So if you want to go for that option, tutoring, that's an option for you. Because this is an equipment deck, what are some options that we could benefit off of using equipment strategies? Some options I did want to highlight is Codsworth Handy Helper. This is from the Universes Beyond product of Fallout. It'll give our commander Ward 2 just in case if we swung in with our commander and dealt damage. It's not going to have hexproof anymore, so having that Ward 2 option is also going to be a little bit of a help for our commander staying on the board. Also, acting as a mana dork for an equipment spells are great, and we could just immediately attach an aura equipment card you control to a target creature you control. I think this is very important because a lot of equipment costs a lot of mana to equip to a different creature, so this is a way we could just pay no mana, just focus on tapping Codsworth so that we could attach it to that creature. We could get some card advantage by using Pure Steel Paladin and Strom Senior Edificer. Pure Steel Paladin is situationally better in this deck specifically because of course we're returning equipment cards from our graveyard to the battlefield, and Pure Steel Paladin has that enter the battlefield trigger. Whenever equipment enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. Of course, that Metalcraft ability is Chef's Kiss. A lot of our equipment does cost a lot to equip, so having that equip 0 is perfect. Another card I quickly want to highlight from Lord of the Rings is Forge Anew for 2 and a white. Whenever it enters the battlefield, return target equipment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. As long as you return, you may activate equip abilities anytime you can cast an instant, and you may pay 0 rather than pay the equip cost of the first equip ability you activate during each of your turns. So this is everything we want to focus on. Having that reduced ability of 0 of equip is perfect, and having that ability to switch on command at instant speed is also going to be very important too. A card previously from Modern Horizons 3, Arcane Druid Sky Captain, is perfect for this deck. As flying lifelink, ward discard a card, so it does have that evasion with our commander. That's perfect. Whenever a modified creature you control attacks, double the number of counter counters on it. Then for each non-token permanent attached to it, create a token that's a copy of that permanent attached to that creature. So this easily synergizes with our commander. We can make an extra token copy of a equipment we control on the battlefield. Obviously in some situations where you have a legendary equipment on the battlefield, you can't make an extra token copy because the legendary rule will apply. A while ago I did make a deck tech around this commander. If you do want to go check it out, I'll post the link above here. But let's move on to one of the best cards you could add into this deck, and that's Halvar, God of Battle, or on the backside Sword of the Realms most likely. I'd rather prefer having the front side because as that ability, equipped creatures you control that are enchanted or equipped have double strike, and at the beginning of each combat you may attach a target aura or equipment attached to that creature you control to a target creature you control. Giving double strike to our commander is absolutely essential because of course our commander has a combat trigger. We could double that combat trigger, put 2 equipments on the battlefield, and make 2 assassins. Plus this does act as an equipment, so if we want to use the backside, give equipped creature +2/+0 and a vigilance, we totally can do that. Speaking of equipment, what are the best equipment that you could have in the deck that'll really ensure that you win the game? The first couple options I did want to highlight, mainly because it's fun, is Colossus Hammer. Just giving your equipped creature +10/+10 and losing flying is incredible. I mean, I know you're losing flying, but that's not a big downside if you're giving an equipped creature +10/+10. But it does have that heavy equip cost of 8, but remember we have some of those ways where we can manipulate the equip costs with some options like Pure Steel Paladin or Forge Anew. Or even with our commander though, we're putting an equipment card from the graveyard to the battlefield and attaching it to a 1/1 assassin with menace, so that's going to be a very scary threat either way. Lord of the Rings also gave us some incredible equipment that I did want to follow up with. Anduil Narsil Reforged, Mithril Coat, and Nazgul Battle Mace is excellent. Anduil Narsil Reforged will buff up our creatures when we have equipped creature attack, and if we do have the City's Blessing, we could buff up each of our creatures with 2 1/1 counters instead of 1/1 counters. Mithril Coat does have flash and indestructible. When it enters the battlefield, attach a target legendary creature you control like our commander. If our commander doesn't have hexproof anymore and somebody tries to remove it, we have that option to give it indestructible. And Nazgul Battle Mace is excellent. Equipped creature has Menace, Death Touch, and Annihilator 1, and whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent, put that card onto the battlefield under your control unless that player pays 3 life. This is the most expensive, being at 5 mana compared to the 3 and 2 mana with Anduil and Mithril. But do remember, our commander has that ability to return a target equipment card from our graveyard to the battlefield and equip to a 1/1 assassin. So either way, the mana cost does matter, but it doesn't really matter because we're going to be returning from the graveyard to the battlefield anyways. I did want to point out some swords that you can put in the deck, like Sword of Light and Shadow and Sword of Feast and Famine into the deck. These options are more flavorful because of course they do have the Assassin's Creed art that you can put into the deck. These may be more expensive depending on how rare they are. Each of these give their own protection. Sword of Light and Shadow does give protection from white and black, the best removal spells in the game, and Sword of Feast and Famine does give protection from black and green. Each of these have great ability when they deal combat damage. Of course, our assassins are going to have some sort of evasion, so these are going to be perfect in the deck. Another fun one that I didn't think that would be in Magic the Gathering, Mjolnir Stormhammer, is excellent too. 4 mana, does have equip 4, but when it enters the battlefield, attach to target legendary creature you control, and whenever equipped creature attacks, tap target creature defending player controls and put a stun counter on it. Then Mjolnir deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of tapped creatures that opponent controls. So this is a fun flavor win because of course we're putting stun counters on our opponent's creatures where we're stunning them with Mjolnir's Thunder, and if somebody is in an aggressive strategy swinging with a lot of different tokens on the battlefield, we could definitely punish them for that. Another Assassin's Creed card that I did want to point out is Caduceus, Staff of Hermes. Equipped creature has lifelink, and as long as you have 30 or more life, equipped creature has +5/+5 and has indestructible and prevent all damage that would be dealt to this creature, and does have equipped 2 white mana. So this is essentially a Sarah Ascendant on an equipment card. I thought we were done with like if you have 30 or more life because of course commander has 40 or more life. If you have this on the battlefield and you equip to a creature, that creature will automatically get +5/+5 and have indestructible and prevent all damage that would be dealt to this creature. I'm surprised this didn't say like if you have 15 or more life, then your starting life total, you have this ability, but nope, you have, as long as you have 30 or more life, equipped creature will have this ability. So honestly quite broken. And the last equipment of the day and the last Assassin's Creed card is Excalibur, Sword of Eden. This has a whopping 12 mana cost, but it can be reduced based off the total mana value of historic permanents you control. So kind of similar similar to Galta. This focuses on mana value, but it has a simple ability. Equipped creature gets +10/+0 and has vigilance, and also does have equipped legendary creature too. So this card is quite crazy. Giving a creature +10/+0 is quite brutal, and giving it vigilance so that it can swing in and also stay in for blocking is pretty insane. What's pretty insane about this card is the fact that if we equip it to our commander essentially has unblockable, so if we swing in for 13 damage, and if we hit that player the next turn, it's going to be spelling good game for them because they're going to be taking 26 commander damage in total. So yeah, is this busted with our commander? Absolutely. So with that said, that's going to do it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming by and watching this video on Connor, or I'm still trying to pronounce the name, but I'm not even going to try. Besides that point, this is a pretty powerful commander in pretty powerful color combinations. But what are your thoughts about Connor? Do you plan on building him yourself? Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. With that out of the way, thank you for stomping by.